All right, morning everyone. Welcome to another episode of Market Trading. I am your host, Vays, coming to you live on this super important day. Today is another FOMC meeting. These meetings have always been important, but it feels like with every single meeting, they are starting to get exponentially more important, kind of like the US national debt and the interest on that debt get exponentially bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on. So today is a huge day. We're going to go straight to the charts because Bitcoin is breaking out right now. You may not see it as breaking out, but there are different forms of breaking out. One form is the candle is flying to the upside, and the other form of a breakout is it breaking very, very critical resistance level. And that's what we are seeing right now. So I am streaming at an absolute perfect time. I knew sooner or later I'd start to stream at a perfect time. And this is a perfect time. We are breaking this area that I mentioned as far back as 2 days ago, right here on the 20th, that if we start breaking out above this line, that's when Bitcoin has a nice shot at doing one of these. I'm just going to move this arrow over. It's a little too big. Let me not push it above 30. 29.7 or 29.4. Let's leave it at 29.4. Let's keep it reasonable. And we are breaking this line once again. I know that all kinds of havoc is going to break loose at 2 p.m. today, but we can be at 29.4 before 2 p.m. This is a great area. The next candle, which will begin in 2 hours and 40 minutes, still well before the FOMC announcement, will be a green star candle. The current candle cannot be a green star candle. We hit a green star candle yesterday at noon, but that rally was short-lived. This one should be stronger. We had more time to consolidate. We already had a fake breakout, and now it's time for the real thing. Now, this is the line that I really care about. I lowered this line to the tops of these prior candles. However, the original line was at the top of these candles. And if I move this line to the top of those candles, we are right at that line right now. And the other thing that it does is by me moving it back to those two candles, is it no longer creates false breakouts between the 8 p.m. candle last night and the midnight candle last night. And anytime I say a time, it is always Eastern time. The stock market trades on New York time. So that's the clock that I use on my laptop, no matter where I am in the world. No, it's breaking for me. Like I said, for me, this is a break. This is a break for multiple reasons. I even moved the line to here. For me, this is a break. I care a lot more on where candles close. And I don't know where this candle is going to close, but I always assume that the candle is going to close at its current price because I don't know what the future holds. And the way this pattern is playing out, I don't need to wait for the candle to get to 28.5 or 28.4440. I don't trade based on pennies. I don't trade, Bitcoin closed $1 lower than the previous high, therefore it didn't break the prior high. I'm not petty like that. So for me, this is considered a breakout right now. And that's how I'm looking at it. Is it possible it's going to be a false breakout and reversed exactly like it did at noon yesterday? Yeah, of course it's possible, but I give the odds of that lower than 50% because it already did it. Whenever the market has already done something exactly like that, the probability of it happening again exactly like that are lower. And now I kind of sound like a contradiction because the last 5 times we broke above prior highs, we continued higher. And obviously that is a repeating pattern, but that is how markets trade. This is the way markets trade. I see this happening at least one more time. Let me slide this line a little bit to the left. But each time it's happening with less and less amplitude, less and less magnitude. This time, however, with the Fed announcement, and if the Fed announcement goes positive for the market, Bitcoin can easily hit $30,000 even today. We could have a green star on daily. I don't think I set this one to show you green stars that follow MRI tops. I have it set not to bother giving me that star, even though I do have a star over here, which is interesting. Oh, that's an MRI bottom. Sorry. I do have green stars following MRI tops. I don't have green stars following MRI bottoms because they're unnecessary. So yes, if this candle starts trading above yesterday's candle, we will get a green star, but that's not coming until we break, what was the high? 28,518. That's $200 away. If he doesn't increase today, then I think there is a high probability that Bitcoin will go to 30 grand. And also, if he doesn't increase today, the stock market will rally potentially all the way to the MRI resistance line. I believe he will raise 25 basis points. Let's go and take a look at, let me see something here. Let's go and take a look at what our probabilities say on the CME futures. They are at 87%. Remember how I was saying 90% several days ago, even when this thing was 60? Well, it looks like the futures market has agreed to what I say, and it's now almost at 90%, and this will probably be above 90% by the time 2 p.m. rolls around. Correct. Each event further does decrease the probability of it repeating. However, and I think this is potentially the last one. I think this is this last push before we get a correction that actually is gonna break one of these prior lines. We did break it for a smidge right here, but I don't really count that. The moving average was right there. But I think the next one is going to go all the way down, potentially as low as 25K, maybe all the way back to this line. Like, this is not very strong support. Once we break out towards 30, this will not be strong support. The last piece of very strong support we have is that 25.9 line. It would be ideal not to go below this line, because then we also do have a little bit of support at 25.2, but I would like to just avoid that and stay above 26. So if we do touch 30K or go even above 30K, then I think 26 becomes very, very strong support. And everyone that is waiting to buy at 25 because it's a nice fat round number will never, ever get the chance. Oh, I really want to talk about oil today. Let's go to the longer term picture just to make sure we're not missing anything. Weekly chart. Our weekly chart is on a green star candle saying that everything is great and Bitcoin has ridiculous upside. I think there could be a little bit of a pullback on the daily. But if today closes strong, you got to look at the daily chart. Yesterday is the one candle I would not go long. But if today we end up with a green star candle, something like this, I will once again become a bull until the next MRI top, which is going to be sometime at the end of March. Our allocation is looking very good. I haven't even seen it yet, but I know it's looking good. We just flipped to a brand new candle. Everything is absolutely perfect. We never even got a pullback. I'm still concerned about a pullback. I'm going to just delete these arrows. The arrows are playing out perfectly. One more green candle. That's fine. If we have a strong day today, I will then not have to worry about this 100% allocation. My trade may never be in the red, actually. I'm hoping to hold this trade for the rest of the year. I will reduce this 100%. Obviously, at some point, the 3-day average is going to turn down like it did over here. And I will lower that allocation to 80, 70% or so. But the goal is to not lower this allocation by more than half. So I intend to be bullish in this market for the foreseeable future, ideally all the way through the halving. In a recession, everything falls, including gold. You said this yourself. Now, why would Bitcoin not fall? This is a major trap. I discussed it yesterday. I know yesterday's video was about 7 hours long, and we really went a little far into the Ukraine-Russia talk towards the end. No, that is not true. Jaggi, you are incorrect. You see how you say in a recession, everything falls, including gold? You've said this yourself. Why would Bitcoin not fall? This is a major trap. I explained it yesterday. Normally in a recession, the one asset that never fell was government bonds. The government bonds would rise in price. That was me looking at the Dow Jones yesterday. This is the big distinction. We don't have a long history, but here, if we go to a 10-year yield, the 10-year yield, and we go to a monthly chart, if I stick recessions on this chart, or you know what, I'll go to Fred. I may have to open one more Fred chart. I wanted to talk about this today. Let me go to interest rates Fred. Oh boy. Gotta be more specific. Fed funds, there it is. See, look at this. Every time there is a recession, what happens? Interest rates drop. When interest rates drop, the value of bonds skyrockets. When interest rate rises, the value of bonds crashes. So this is why Silicon Valley Bank went down, okay? We are raising interest rate. We are in a recession. We've had a recession. The government has changed the definition of what a recession is. That's why you don't see any gray line like here during COVID indicating that there is a recession. The current administration will not allow the the Federal Reserve or the Treasury announce that there is a recession until after the election. Recessions have become political. They're no longer economic. So it doesn't matter if you think there is a recession. The question is, what is the interest rate doing? And the interest rate is rising. When interest rate is rising, bonds do not go up in price. So normally something has to go up in price. But in this particular R word that I can't say because legally we're not allowed to say the R word anymore. There's 2 R words we're not allowed to say. The other one is a word I use quite often, and recession is the word I probably can get me banned now. So bonds used to always go up in price, but not this time. See, this time there is no asset that is rising in the current economic environment. So something else needs to rise in the current economic environment because bonds are crashing. And the bond market is 10 times bigger than the stock market. And Bitcoin is just a little pimple on an elephant's ass when it comes to its market cap. I was going to use that phrase for something else, but I already used it, so I may have to come up with another one. So what's going to rise? If bonds are crashing because of the rising interest rate, then the assets that will rise are gold. You can see gold rising right now because of the uncertainty and people scared to keep their money in the bank. I believe you will see the stock market rally because people will have to sell those bond portfolios and they don't care how risky stocks are. If stocks are rising, they're going to go into them. And Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the other asset. It's like gold on steroids. So I do expect Bitcoin to rise in this environment. Now, if there is a financial panic, if 50 banks collapse tomorrow, if the FDIC doesn't have enough money to bail them out, which we know they don't, and the Fed and the Treasury don't add to the liquidity to bail them out, in that case, yes, there is a possibility that Bitcoin might crash because people will not be able to access their bank account to buy Bitcoin. But that is not a recession. That is a panic. So don't confuse a recession with something like the 2008 financial crisis or the COVID crash. Those are panics, okay? So that was a panic where banks collapsed. This was a panic where the world got shut down. Is it possible we're going to have one of these? Yes, it's possible, but, and here's a big but, the current problem with the banks is actually worse than the problem in 2008. However, even though the problem is worse, the problem is big and shallow. It's kind of like, what can I say? You have a giant hill that you have to climb, but the hill is at a very low slope, but it's huge. It's different than a shorter hill you have to go over, but unreasonably steep, okay? It's almost impossible to go over a steep. This time it's a hole. Maybe I should say hole, right? If you have a giant steep hole, you can fall right into it. And even though you didn't fall very far, it's very hard to get out of this hole. The hole is above your head and you can't reach the top, and it's super steep and you can't get out. That's what happened in 2008 with the banking crisis. The current banking problem is 10 times deeper than the hole in 2008, but it's so wide that the slope is shallow. So the government is able to do the things that it did 2 weekends ago by preventing a panic in Silicon Valley Bank. Meanwhile, the same problem exists in half of our banks. Okay. Can we hit the 100,000 prediction this year? Of course we can, but I don't believe that we will. What you have to realize is, as Bitcoin heads towards 100K, it's going to have a correction. And this correction can last 3 to 4 months. And that already like takes away the chances. So if we look at my long-term chart, if we look at my long-term view, let's say this does go all the way to, say, 90,000. I don't think it'll get there by May. If we do go to, say, 90,000, we'll get there, let's say, by September. But then we're going to correct. And this correction is going to take at least several months. And suddenly you didn't make it to your $100,000 target. If we make it to 100,000 this year, it's going to be pure luck. I think we're going to have a multi-month correction long before that. And then after a multi-month correction, it will take multiple months to get back to whatever top was made. That's why I don't believe we're going to break 100K this year, but I hope I'm wrong. Tone, do you think the correction will be at the all-time high, starting the most notorious ascending triangle of all time? it's hard for me to call this an ascending triangle. Right, and the reason why it's hard for me to call this an ascending triangle is because of this low over here back in July of 21, and this is already a double top. So in an ascending triangle, the first dip is supposed to be the biggest, but our second dip is the biggest. So if anything, this would be the biggest inverse head and shoulders of all time. I'll give you that, or the biggest cup and handle of all time. But I'm not going to say that it's the biggest descending triangle of all time, because it just will not form a descending triangle. But the concept is the same. Do you think anything negative for Bitcoin could come out of the FOMC meeting? No, I don't. I don't. The only negative is if Powell says something that spooks the stock market, then potentially. Hey guys, I need to grab a call real quick. I'm gonna put a short-term chart up, make it 1 hour, and I do have to pick this up. Sorry. All right, I'm back. All right, so where are we here? What about giant descending triangle from first high, ignoring the second fake high? No, don't see it. All right, so look at that. We are breaking. We are at 28,428. Let's see if we can cross the swing high while I'm still on stream. I really want to join Swan Spaces today, so I will be cutting this at 10 p.m. The first target in a swing trade. It's a little late for the swing trade. See, this is where it gets hard, right? The swing trade really should be taken going into the first MRI top, but this would have been hard. In this case, the second MRI, the second consecutive MRI top, took the bulk of the move up. So it was still a good trade. This time, the big swing was off the MRI buy. So the second swing will probably not be as big as the first one. But if we do close as a green star candle today, I can see us going as high as 34. I think 34 is where it's going to pull up, because that's just way too much with one pullback. But if we go to 34 and then pull back to 26, that would be incredible. Absolutely incredible. So my next major resistance is this breakdown over here at 34,000. At what point is the bear market officially over? I have already called the bear market officially over. To me, the bear market officially ended last week. Last week. That's when I officially, I didn't say it, but I was already bullish before that. But to me, the bear market has officially ended. It's unfortunate that the bear market for me, from a TA perspective, started really late. For me, officially, the bear market ended over here. Sorry, the bear market started over here. In hindsight, the bear market started here. That's in hindsight. In real time, like in hindsight, the bear market started April 12th, the week of April 12th, in hindsight. And now that we've seen all the on-chain metrics, we've seen how the price played out, we saw everything. This move was more of a fake rally, didn't have enough buying demand. In hindsight, the bear market started April 12th. In reality, in real time, the bear market for me started May 2022. Now, the opposite is also true here. In real time, for me, the bear market ended and the bull market started, assuming we're not going to take a middle ground. It's bear or bull. In real time, the bull market started with a break of 25K last week. In real time, for me. In reality, in hindsight, I should say that. Sorry, this is reality. This is hindsight. In hindsight, the bear market ended right here on November 7th with the low in the price. Or there is an or here. Oh no, there's no or. That's the that's FTX, the FTX low. Yeah, this is the FTX low. Some reason I thought that was the FTX low. The FTX low is the end of the bear market in hindsight. It's possible this can change as well if we crash, but I don't expect us to. Tone, we finally use 2017. War, you mean Warren maybe? Like, I know you don't like Europe, but if you happen to pass through Amsterdam, expensive fancy dinner and wine, I'll probably end up passing through Amsterdam. I have too many friends there that I'm kind of working with. And I like Portugal. I do want to spend more time in Portugal before the communist Europe becomes one major country. So Portugal and maybe swing into Spain is a place I still want to see. And like Eastern Europe, like Croatia. Never been to Croatia. Okay. That was a good question on the bear market. Your opinion about the euro currency based on tech or fundamental analysis? Both TA and fundamental analysis look horrible for the euro. Tone, how do you move cash to Swan? Through your bank account? Through your credit card? Swan has an onboarding option. They were not with Signature or what's the other one? Silvergate. All right, let's see that hourly chart. Oh, we pulled back. How high did we get? We got pretty high, but we are pulling back. That's unfortunate. I'm still bullish here. I don't like this candle, though. What happened? Let's go to the stock market. I do need to talk about oil, and I need to talk about the Fed's balance sheet. These are my two more agendas for the day. I really want to see the GBTC discount move higher than -30. Oil. I want to talk about oil real quick. So I have been paying too much attention to the weekly chart, and I completely forgot that on a monthly scale, we are on an MRI buy, creating a potential low in the price of oil. Totally forgot that the monthly was on an MRI buy, which is silly of me because there is an M right here telling me that we are on a monthly MRI buy, and I have no idea how I've missed it the last 7 videos or 5 videos, wherever it was. Okay, so oil is on a monthly MRI buy, so I should not be as concerned about oil as I was on this red star weekly candle, because a higher level time frame is telling me that this month should correspond to the low in oil. And then yesterday I got this message from an MRI user and says, Tone, I had an amazing bullish trade in oil last night thanks to the MRI. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And that's when I opened the chart and I'm like, well, obviously he doesn't mean the weekly chart. So what does he mean? I recognized, oh, it's a monthly MRI buy, but a month is 30 days. What happens on the daily chart? And when I opened the daily chart, that's last night is when I realized there was a daily MRI right at the closing low of oil. And that's how yesterday, I'm sorry, I already forgot who messaged me and on what medium, whether it was WhatsApp or Telegram or Twitter, I don't remember anymore. Or in my comments to the YouTube video, I don't remember. But I said, holy shit, I totally missed it. I was constantly looking at the weekly MRI buy, and I totally missed the daily MRI buy, the same thing that happened right here. So this person bought off this daily MRI buy, and he had confidence because of the monthly MRI buy, and he just ignored the weekly, which I may not have done. I'm always scared of the weekly, and I guess maybe he went in the next day, waited for a little bit of a bullish sign. That is a beautiful hammer candle. See, this is why I would never go short on the candle following an MRI buy, the same way I would never go long on the candle following an MRI sell. I shouldn't call it buy and sell. I should call it MRI top and MRI bottom. I don't know when the person went in because I got the message last night. So he might have went in on the 17th on Friday, but he probably went in on Monday or Tuesday. At the end of candle Monday or early morning Tuesday, I would have waited to see this hammer play out and then would have bought on breaking the top of the hammer. So there is a TA structure that is calling for a low in oil right now on a daily and monthly scale, not on a weekly scale. And I know some people are going to say, Tone, now you're cherry picking time frames. Not really. Cherry picking time frames would be when I used, what was it, the 479 day, right? That's cherry picking time frames. I remember I once picked a random prime number, and it wasn't, in order to show that you can pick any time frame and make a technical analysis case. I think I did it in Bitcoin. There, the 479-minute time frame. We haven't looked at this time frame in a while. I'm curious how this time frame called the low, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get like an MRI buy right there. That would be amazing. I would just shut this video off. Come on, come on, come on. 479 minutes. MRI is still loading. I didn't do it. Would have been cool to see. Here's our 479-minute time frame. It was a random prime number that I chose. The top of candles look cool though, right here. Look at that. Let's go back to the daily. I'm still bullish. We're back. We're rising back up. All right, we got 8 minutes till Swan Spaces start. So I just talked about oil. That was on my agenda. Natural gas, not much to say. Gold, not much to say. S&P, man, if the Fed only raises 25 basis points, which they probably will, and if they're a little dovish in their statements, I can see the market rallying. $1 million Bitcoin, how likely in 90 days? Less than 1%. Less than 1%. Less than 1% means that I would bet $1,000 that we hit $1 million in 90 days if I get to win 100K off that 1,000. So it's 100 to 1 bet. Actually, I'm off. I'm going to want probably $500 to $1 million in value for my $1,000 bet. So probably 0.1% chance we hit $1 million in 90 days. 0.1%. I want 1,000 to 1 odds if I make the bet. So then I can bet $100 and win like 10 grand or 100 grand. 10 a.m. reversal. I won't be around for that if it is. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to talk about after glancing at the halving cycle. Oh, there it is, back to 4 minutes, 42 seconds, 8 minutes, 42 seconds. And the halving on current block time between blocks is set for late February. I think it's going to be late March. I think it'll be late March. So I wanted to talk about this because it came up in our podcast yesterday. That's going to air today. I recorded a podcast with Mark Moss on Swan Signal. It'll be posted to Swan's YouTube channel later today, hopefully before the Fed rate meeting. And this is the Fed balance sheet. This is the Fed balance sheet since 2003. I'm sure you've seen this chart everywhere. People are showing it like this. And they're like, oh my God, look what the Fed did in the last 3 days. Look how much it went up. And I'm like, who cares? Like this is meaningless. Like just zoom out. Zoom out. That's what it is. This is what people are going nuts over. This is where I was going to use that pimple on an elephant's ass, right? Like, this is where the Fed blew up its balance sheet. This is where the Fed blew up its balance sheet. This is where the Fed continued to blow up its balance sheet. Yeah, it lowered it by, I don't know, 10%, and now it raised it by like 2%. Like, who cares? Like, who cares? So this blow up in Fed balance sheet is, to me, is completely meaningless and irrelevant. But everyone is like tweeting about this. Like, wow, you guys are blowing something out of proportion. Look, I would have, if I had $1 million, I would have bet Balaji. IRS is always watching. So if I had $1 million, I would have bet Balaji that Bitcoin is not going to hit $1 million. John Doe, thank you so much, sir. Okay, that's it for me. That's it for me. I do want to address one question from yesterday. I'm not going to get into the weeds of the Russia-Ukraine thing. I spent a lot of time on that yesterday. But I will say there was a question that said, who is more likely to use nukes first? And I said Russia. And I was corrected by within 24 hours. Because it looks like Ukraine will be using them first because the UK has just supplied uranium shells to Ukraine. So the answer is going to be Ukraine. I did not see that coming. I did not expect the UK to send shells with a nuclear element to them to Ukraine to use against Russian tanks. So while I speculated that Russia would be the first to use a nuclear element in the war, it's now apparent that it is going to be Ukraine using them first, because the UK sent it to them. And the assumption is if the UK is saying they're going to send it, it's probably already there. But we wait and see for the first use case. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. And I will see you all on the next one. Bye, guys. Look, you guys can make excuses all you like. To me, using uranium is, but it's debatable, right? It's not the first time, conduct of war has been broken. Ground mines have been deemed illegal in war, and yet they're all over Ukrainian soil. And we both know who put them there, right? So, all right. Talk to you all on the next one.